Hello everyone, and thank you so much for checking out our end-of-year wrap-up video. I'm Ava Agudelo, the founder and executive director of Hope's Harvest, Rhode Island, and on behalf of our entire crew this season, Molly Rose, Annie, Merle, Sammy, and myself, I'd like to say a very warm welcome and thank you for all you've done to support Hope's Harvest, Rhode Island, and our mission of bringing fresh, local, healthy food to people in need. In a regular season, we would gather together in person at this time of year to share food and stories and warmth. This year, we're offering this season wrap-up video instead for all our volunteers and friends to view on their own time that shares our accomplishments for the season, lifts up our volunteer superstars, delights in art and music because we like to have fun, and tells you a little bit about what Hope's Harvest, Rhode Island has planned for the months and years to come. So again, welcome to Friendsgiving 2020, and we hope you enjoy this as much as we've enjoyed being in the fields with you all this season. But first, Hope's Harvest, Rhode Island acknowledges that it operates on the traditional, ancestral, and contemporary lands of the Narragansett, Nipmuc, Niantics, Wampanoag, and Manassians indigenous peoples. This stolen land was cared for and called home by many more indigenous tribes from time immemorial, now since gone. Native peoples then and now cultivated the land and animals in symbiosis, living in partnership with the natural world in a fundamentally sustainable way that we could learn much from as we suffer from the effects of an industrialized global food system. Now more than ever, indigenous communities are suffering the effects of food insecurity, a byproduct of an industrialized food system and colonialist state, which has limited their access to traditional resources and knowledge that have been cultivated for thousands of years. Increased access to quality food, self-determination, and food sovereignty for these communities has never been more important, and they are taking a stand, as they always have, for the earth and their traditional relationship with the land and the abundance it provides. The values of Hope's Harvest, Rhode Island center on our commitments to honor the inherent worth and dignity of indigenous communities, stand against systemic inequality, and stand up for food justice, food sovereignty, and the rights of all people for self-determination. This means strengthening our collective well-being by redistributing resources to those deeply affected by systemic racism and colonization. We continuously strive to learn from and be accountable to the indigenous peoples in our communities. This work brings joy, connection, and empowerment. This work empowers those most disenfranchised by institutional oppression. This past month, we were honored to partner with the Tamaqua Museum on a screening of the film Gather, which we highly recommend you watch to get a sense of what the terms food security and food justice mean in an indigenous context. The Tamaqua Museum, led by Executive Director Loren Spears, is an amazing local organization run by Native leaders who offer a wide variety of educational programming about indigenous food sovereignty and much more, and bring wonderful perspective and richness to our state. If you're looking for a way to give back to the Native peoples of this land to whom we owe so much, we highly recommend you support the Tamaqua Museum's work however you're able. We also ask that you take a few moments for self-reflection after this video and ask yourself how you can take action to support these local indigenous communities in other ways and learn more about the history of colonialism and the impacts it has to this day. This season was certainly one like no other, with many, many challenges along the way. However, despite everything, we are incredibly proud of what we were able to accomplish for our community. In 2020, Hope's Harvest, Rhode Island recruited 600 plus volunteers, 89 of whom spent 1,152 hours rescuing 161,801 pounds of fresh, healthy, local fruits and vegetables from 25 farms across Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts. And we distributed that to 20 hunger relief agencies, serving over 10,000 individuals per month. In terms of pounds of food, we tripled our amount of food recovered from last season and are fast approaching 300,000 pounds recovered since 2018. That's over 150 tons. In addition to these numbers, we're also really proud to say we formed stronger partnerships on the farm side with Four Town Farm, who had us out on a regular schedule for the first time this season, and on the agency side with the Rhode Island Community Food Bank and the Alicia Project, who were able to accept pallets of produce from us and made it easier for us to move a lot of food very efficiently. We also purchased almost $50,000 worth of surplus produce from local farms for delivery to hunger relief agencies, which provided farmers with much needed income during these uncertain times. Two more items that we're really proud of are purchasing a refrigerated box truck that dramatically increased our efficiency and hiring our second full-time year-round staff person, Operations Manager Molly Rose Siebert. But we couldn't have done any of this without you. We were thrilled and incredibly grateful for the outpouring of volunteer enthusiasm for gleaning this season. Even in the midst of new restrictions and safety protocols, we had so many new and returning friends come join us in the field to make all of this work possible. It was truly awe-inspiring and a pleasure to work with such kind, dedicated, and hard-working people committed to helping their neighbors. All our volunteers, every single one, made it possible for families, children, seniors, and people struggling throughout this year to have fresh, healthy food on the table. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We want to specifically shout out our 2020 Glean Dream Team top 20 volunteers who kept coming back trip after trip. Thank you to all the volunteers who always showed up, rain or shine. To all those volunteers who drove the extra mile to meet us. You helped us deliver food an extra mile indeed. To those who volunteered their time to do pickups and deliveries in their personal vehicles, thank you. To everyone who has donated, volunteered their creative energy, attended our gleans and our events, thank you. We so appreciate you. There's so much to do all season long, and we were blown away again, even in the midst of all the challenges this season brought, by the volunteers who went really above and beyond. Every single one of you is invaluable to the mission of Hope's Harvest, Rhode Island. Especially in the face of a pandemic and climate change, the need for redistributing food to an increasing number of people facing food insecurity is imperative. Every day we show up for work knowing that we'll be able to see your smiling faces. It brings us solace during such a difficult time. This work brings joy and connection. It helps us build power together, strengthening our food systems and becoming more resilient. Most importantly, this work is fueled by real people like all of you who are truly an ever-flowing fountain of inspiration, support, energy, and appreciation. We asked some of our volunteers what their favorite moments from this season were, which quickly turned sentimental. DL said, "This is going to sound crazy, but my favorite glean was when we went watermelon hunting. I can't imagine not having had gleans this year." And Kat told us that gleaning is one of the few things that has made me happy throughout 2020. I know this sounds strange, but the gleans have been a little spot of happiness for me. A couple more quotes from our gleaner friends. My favorite farm is Shuatuk because they always come out and work with you, and that's kind of cool. Susan Lepore calling out our awesome farmer partners. And from Richard, to me, the farms are just phenomenal. I have 3 favorite farms. Foretown is my favorite big farm. The stuff they reject is just incredible. My favorite small farm is Arcadian Fields. I'm astounded by how she's able to maintain such beautiful crops as just one person. And I really like the URI Orchard. She's always so nice. She's like, take some for your family and friends. And I think that's a great quote that just exhibits how awesome our farm partners are and the connection and the appreciation that gets built between the farmers and the volunteers. While everyone is essential to our work, the farmers who do such an incredible job growing food are the ones that really make all of this possible. So here are the top donors to Hope's Harvest this season. We're so grateful for their support, and we want to lift up their awesome work feeding our community so that our community knows who to support when it's time to go buy your apples and lettuce and squash when harvest time comes around again. As I think we all realized more than ever this season, our local farmers are vital to our resilience as a Rhode Island community, and they need our continued patronage to do what they do. Hooray for farmer heroes. Hope's Harvest Rhode Island is a relatively new organization. We started operations in April of 2018, and we've been going full steam ahead since then. This year, in our 3rd growing season, and now that we've proven what we do is not only possible but essential, we knew it was vitally important to lay out the foundation and groundwork to ensure our sustainability over the long term. To that end, we crafted our first strategic plan with input from farmers, agency partners, former staff, and volunteers. While our mission and vision have stayed the same, we were able to clarify our organization's values and goals for the coming 3 years. At our core, we are an organization that redistributes resources for the common good, makes it easy to help each other, builds power together in partnership, makes our local food system more resilient, stands for food justice, and is accountable to our community. Our goals for the next 3 years are to nourish the Rhode Island community with fresh, healthy, locally grown produce, to support local farmers' ability to thrive as essential contributors to a local food system that works for everyone, to facilitate joyful volunteer investment in redistributing resources for the common good, to ensure a strong and sustainable organization that provides exceptional value to our stakeholders and has a capacity to achieve our mission and goals, and to leverage our role and assets as an organization to advocate locally, regionally, and nationally for food sovereignty, racial justice, environmental sustainability, and the rights of all people to self-determination. As you can see, in these goals, we recognize our work for what it is, meeting basic needs, but also thinking big picture about how we can have a positive impact on the root causes of hunger and inequality in our communities. We hope you'll continue to be part of this important work as volunteers, partners, and cheerleaders as we head into uncertain and challenging times for all. No matter what comes, you can count on Hope's Harvest Rhode Island to work hard for our collective well-being. We're very proud to be able to share these values and goals with you, and hope you'll make time to visit us at hopesharvest.org to read more about what we're committed to accomplishing for our community in the near and far future. With so much to look forward to, it's hard to be sad that the 2020 gleaning season is wrapping up. But not to worry. There's still plenty of ways to stay involved with Hope's Harvest Rhode Island over the winter and spring. We will continue to move food, albeit at a slower pace and smaller scale, throughout the winter, and we'll keep you posted when trips become available. We find that word of mouth is how most people get involved with us. So if you enjoy working with us or admire what we do, please tell your friends and invite us to speak to your church Zoom groups or neighborhood meetings or the like. As we mentioned, we're committed to being accountable to our community and are always grateful for feedback on how we can improve. So keep an eye out for a feedback survey in the next couple of months. And don't hesitate to send feedback our way via the contact form on our website. Finally, our work is made possible in part by the support of our volunteers, friends, and champions, and we hope you'll consider making an end-of-year gift to Hope's Harvest Rhode Island. You can find out how to give either online or by mail at hopesharvest.org/donate. Last but absolutely not least, we need to acknowledge our phenomenal team this season. We brought extra help in 2020 to help manage changes in our operations due to COVID, and these folks stepped up like the superheroes they are, with grace, humor, fortitude, and true grit. Dealing with rain and snow and broken trucks and wash stations and cold hands and brutal heat, they made this work happen, and I know they would say that the relationships with the volunteers, farmers, and agencies are what made it all worthwhile, along with knowing that they made a huge difference for their community. We wanted to give the Hope's Harvest Rhode Island team a chance to tell you in their own voices what made this season so special to them. Hey all, it's Ava. I'm so glad to be able to share my favorite moment from this season with you. When it was, as we all know, a really weird season and challenging in a lot of ways. And what I remember the most is going out to glean carrots at Four Town Farm, and there were some really awesome volunteers out there that I hadn't met before, and we had such a nice day. But my favorite thing was hearing about how all the volunteers were really grateful for the opportunity to be able to be with each other and to be outside and sharing space with folks at a time when a lot of them were feeling really isolated. And it just made such a difference to know that we were helping people in their day-to-day lives who wouldn't be able to hang out with folks otherwise, and that we're building a sense of community together so that we can be there for each other at times like that.
I want to thank all of our volunteers from Hope's Harvest Rhode Island for such a wonderful season. In a time like 2020, when our work is probably most important, thank you for coming out and giving us your all, for smiling when it was raining or sleeting or we were digging through gaylords for 3 hours. Thank you for showing up and doing the hard work, like digging for potatoes by hand in Tiverton. Thank you for laughing and singing and just making Hope's Harvest Rhode Island feel like a community in a time and a space when getting together is really hard and feeling purpose can be difficult. We did a lot of laughing this season, and we collected a lot of food, and I'm just so thankful for everyone. I hope you all have a great holiday, and we'll see you out there soon.
Hi, Meryl here. This was truly such an incredible season, and one that we were so blessed to have, especially during a year that was so difficult for so many, where so many people felt isolated and suffered exceptional food insecurity. But because of our work, many people receive farm fresh food, local food, because of all of our efforts. And many people felt a little bit more connected and a little bit happier because of us coming together. I certainly did. We become strengthened and more resilient by everyone's dedication and energy coming into this work. This was one of my first jobs out of college, and I couldn't ask for a better way to spend my days during such a difficult time than out on the farms with all of you in such a connected community. So truly, from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to say thank you.
Hi, it's Molly Rose. I'm standing here on a chilly November day thinking about how grateful I am for the Hope's Harvest community, for bringing me to Rhode Island and offering me the chance to work with these amazing volunteers and farmers and agencies, and think about all the amazing people that receive food because of all of our strong work. I have so many lovely peaceful memories of being out in the field. I have particular memories about problem solving, and just shout out to all the volunteers who are awesome problem solvers. You made so many days of potential logistical hazards into just really fun puzzles to be figured out, and adding all the layers of joy and laughter. So that is what I'll be remembering this winter as we gear up for next year. And just thank you for making my first season, the one that was marked by just the saddest pandemic ever, one that was so wonderful. You added so many positive things to this experience.
Yeah, it's Annie. I just wanted to share with you a story about Sweet Pea Farm. When we went down there, it was a beautiful time of year. The trees were bright red, and the pasture sort of resembled it was surrounded by embers. We ended up going to the backfield to harvest potatoes out of a field that Catherine couldn't irrigate this year, which a lot of us know that the drought hit the farmers pretty bad. So we were in the field digging up these potatoes, and every time we came across one, it was like finding a gem. I feel like that type of work, similar to a lot of the type of work that we do for gleaning. So I mean, it's really incredible conversations that I'm really grateful to have with the people that come out. We're a part of such an amazing community that not only cares about food access, but also cares about our environment in this land. I feel like that is really important for those things to go hand in hand.
Finally, we're going to wrap up with a song from the Hope's Harvest Rhode Island staff band, which is Merle and Annie, to take us out. Hope you enjoy it.
Come a little bit closer.
Thank you all so much for joining us for this Friendsgiving 2020 video, and we'll see you in the fields in 2021.